If you don't know by now, the truth is definitely stranger than fiction. Thank you for tuning in for today's show, and joining me is Pimpy from Pimpy's Investment Chat. Now, me and Pimpy, we've done some shows together in the past, and I will include links down below and above for the playlist that I created with those previous episodes. But on today's particular show, we're going to be talking about things that are kind of revolving around economics, everything in regards to the Great Reset, the global currency reset, quantum financial system, NESARA, GESARA, getting a little bit into the digital dollar, as well as cryptocurrencies and the Federal Reserve, plus a whole lot more. Now, if this happens to be your first time ever watching any of my videos, I do encourage you to explore my channel. Make sure you're subscribed, smash that like button, hit the notification bell if you want to stay up to date with my videos as they come out. I encourage everyone to check out my Patreon channel. I post up exclusive content and it's a way to support what I do directly. Be sure to follow me on Library where I post up extra videos, and check out my audio podcast, Rice Radio, that is hosted on anchor.fm and can be found on every major podcasting platform such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. I'm going to have links down below for those and everything we talk about in today's episode, and we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Pimpy and Rice Show. And today, before we get into it, I guess we're going to go ahead and do an introduction for both of our channels, because we are recording this for both of our YouTube channels. So if you're watching this on mine, make sure you're checking out Pimpy's Investment Chat. If you're watching this on Pimpy's Investment Chat, make sure you're checking out my channel, Rice Crypto. Pimpy, how's it going, man? You want to introduce the show for your audience?
Yeah, but I want to get a little bit more into who you are. So a lot of my subscribers ask me a lot about crypto, and I just want to encourage people. Now, Rice does more than crypto shows, but he is a person who has a lot of knowledge in that area. I know I talk a lot about Chico Crypto because I really like the guy, but I'm also been encouraging people to shoot on over to Rice's channel. He does talk about cryptocurrencies, because now you guys are asking me questions that I'm like, yeah, that's an area I'm not familiar with. But so we'll touch on that another time, because I do want to talk to you about Ethereum and Polkadot. And remember, the scalability was the issue, and now I believe it's been addressed. But not only that, I'm noticing that with all the issues happening to Bitcoin, there seems to be a huge wave of exodus of people leaving Bitcoin. Am I imagining things, or is this really happening?
I wouldn't say right now that, I mean, I really wouldn't say that everybody's leaving Bitcoin right now. You're seeing the markets as a whole kind of dropping. And I mean, that was to be expected with kind of the rise that we had seen. And it's kind of normal in the cryptocurrency market to have 20, 30, 40% daily fluctuations. So I know that's not normal for a lot of people. Now,
I lost thousands of dollars because just so you know. So I was familiar with how stock markets work. I know how it works, right? When I first got into cryptos, before I realized it's similar to the stock market, but a lot more volatile, and the swings are much bigger. Before I knew that, I would like panic, which is unusual. I like shit and sell everything, you know what I mean? I'm like, and then come back into it or move everything, or I was like, but you know, here's the thing. In all, I probably lost, this is not exaggeration, probably somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 trying to learn lessons about cryptocurrencies. And it's valuable lessons to me, because you know what, now I know better. And so, you know, in the long run, I'm more wiser about what I do. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know everything about cryptocurrencies, but I was smart enough to see the climbing, the powerful climbing that Chainlink was doing, and moved in when it was really low.
Right.
My friend was telling me way back when it was like 1.5 cents, dude, invest in Chainlink. I was like, I have no faith in that thing. So when it got to 2 cents, I was like, oh, congratulations, you made 2 cents. Then it got to 3 cents. I was like, oh, yeah, it's nice. He's all laughing. It got to 4 cents. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It got to 5 cents. I was like, this is why everything else was kind of, you know, level. And I was like, oh, it got to 6 cents. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, man, I'm still hesitant, man. It got to 7 cents. I was like, screw this. And I moved a lot of money over into Chainlink. So I do got a portion of my portfolio. Actually, the largest portion of my portfolio now is in Chainlink, and then I still got some decent holdings on Ethereum. I still think Ethereum is the future. I do, but I don't know what's going on with Chainlink. The rumor is, or I should say, the consensus within the cryptocurrency market is people are trying to rush over to DeFi cryptos and leaving centralized as a form of rebellion against what's going on with the Great Reset, which is interesting. And I've read that on more than one article. And you know how you guys have the crypto world has their own newsletters. And I just read, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, this guy was
DeFi.
Yeah.
DeFi stands for decentralized finance. And so you said the Great Reset, and that is something I want to talk about, but we did do an episode on your channel about cryptocurrency, and I haven't revisited to see the questions that people might have asked. So I do want to continue that cryptocurrency conversation. And I mean, obviously we talk about a lot of things, and so people are aware too. We're recording this on Sunday, the 6th of September. I believe we'll have it up tonight. Sure. But we will be also, I've invited Pimpy and Stan Barabbas from Bodhisattva Love to join me on Wednesday with Charlie Freak. So that'll be a completely different conversation.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting guy, man. I have like a lot of people have been saying, oh my God, I wish you'd do something with Charlie Freak. But again, he covers a lot of different areas. I got like a lot of questions for him, but he definitely seems like an interesting guy. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he definitely is. And I think it would be a fruitful conversation. He had saw my video that's titled In the Name of JFK. And I can't remember all the exact title on my channel, but it starts off with In the Name of JFK and has JFK on the thumbnail. He watched that video, really liked the message, and wanted to kind of touch on that in the video that we do. So, but with the crypto thing, I definitely want to come back to it. I think it's, especially for newer people. So I can just give a better explanation. So Chainlink is going to work within the Ethereum ecosystem, but they're also going to be working with a lot of other blockchain and cryptocurrencies as well, because the point of Chainlink is to be an oracle to communicate between the blockchains, because people think,
I like that.
People think of the blockchains as being like one big blockchain, and Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, all these different cryptocurrencies, Litecoin, they all have their own blockchain, and they don't necessarily communicate with each other. So having an oracle and then having different platforms that allow for cross-chain implementation, to where you can actually work between the two chains and have it done in a intelligent function using smart contracts and things like that. That's definitely an avenue I want to get into, and it kind of touches all the cryptocurrency related and blockchain stuff is probably going to be touching on a lot of what we're going to get into today. And I told you this before we started recording, I've been researching so much stuff, and you as well, and we kind of rely upon each other to give each other information about stuff that we don't have the time to research. And that's the best having good friends is that
teamwork.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very fortunate with that. So I know you've been covering a lot of things in regards to the Great Reset, the global currency reset, the GESARA. Can you kind of explain the differences between the two? Because I think a lot of people might be confusing all of this, as even combining NESARA, GESARA, and all of it, the quantum financial system. All of
I was just going to say that.
And I know they're all kind of uniquely separate. Some of them kind of parallel and have similarities, but so the Great Reset and the global currency reset. Sorry.
Okay, so then you actually got three things. Okay, the Great Reset is one thing. NESARA, GESARA is something totally different. The global currency reset is even on its own different. Now, the global currency reset does tie into what we believe is going to happen in NESARA, GESARA, but it is a standalone as well. So the global currency reset is this idea put together. It's a brainchild, 50 years in the making, of these people that the World Economic Forum. So they have, the fact that they've been working on this for 50 years should tell you a lot of things.
NESARA, right?
No, the global currency reset.
Okay.
I mean, the Great Reset. The Great Reset.
The Great Reset.
Okay, reword that. The Great Reset.
Now, where does this information come from? Who is the originators of this?
Oh, good Lord. There's a handful of what we would call, so I'm gonna start to get in an area that some people might consider conspiracy, but it's not. It's actually truth seeking. So those
Yeah.
people that we would be labeling the deep state, New World Order, Illuminati, whether you believe in it, I notice they go through different names. Globalist Agenda is what this is. So what this globalist agenda is it involves a lot of deep state actors that for 50 years have been working on this idea of moving the entire globe into this one world economy. It literally talks about this. Now, in the paperwork, it says the resetting of capitalism. But the more you look into it, you're like, bullshit. This is not capitalism.
It's like socialism.
Redistribution of wealth. You know what I mean? Yeah. These Green New Deals, all the things they've been trying to shove down our throat for a while. So when you see them talk about the Green New Deal, wage inequality, wealth inequality, what else? Racial equality. I'm like, you see what they're doing? It is socialism. It is a pathway to socialism easily. They just label it resetting of capitalism, which is a lie. So when you look at what's happening with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, what's going on with the so-called Green New Deal movement, you can see if this has been 50 years in the work, and plus the pandemic, because they bring that up in a Great Reset. So when you see that all these things are brought together in that presentation on their website, you go, well, you can see that this was all obviously planned. All this has been planned. And so unfortunately for them, they ran into what we call the orange bad man. You know what I mean? He, in my opinion, has definitely put a major hurdle in front of them. But anyways, when you go through there and you see their ideas and what they're doing, it's really scary, to be honest with you. One of my videos shows that they have these organizations now everywhere where they meet with people and trying to indoctrinate them is what they're doing, explaining to them and using fear approaches and talking about how everything is equality. So one thing that minorities need to really, really wake the F up about is this movement in Black Lives Matter. And of course, this Antifa movement is nothing to do with the benefit of minorities and never will be. They're used. And then once their agenda is accomplished, you're no longer valuable. And they have plans for you. And they talk about it very clearly. So what it says is those who would be considered rowdy risers, or shit disturbers, people who are most likely to rise up.
People like me and you.
Yeah. Yeah. But it specifically says in there, not on the Great Reset website, but in the NWO movement, it talks about, minorities are too much shit disturbers. We have to lock them up and then re-educate them. And I was like, yeah, that's it. It's all tied in together. It really is. But they're sending out now, and they have 106 organizations around the world that hold these seminars and are starting to brainwash people. And they're going to do it through media, artwork, entertainment, which we're already seeing happening now. No. The video, I don't know if you had a chance to see that video that I showed you. It shows you this gentleman's talking. It's an old black and white film. It's from 1969.
I don't think I did.
Oh my God, you got to go back and see this video. It literally is. This was attempted before. What's going on? This guy was explaining how a black man wrote a book and how he was told that communism is the best thing for minorities. So he became a communist. But as time went on, he realized that this is the worst thing for minorities and that they use black people to push their agenda. Yeah. And in there, what do they, and this is in the 69, he's talking about what they tell you they're going to do is use black people to push a pro-black movement, cause riots and chaos around the world, attack the police, claiming that the police are racist, that they're systemic racists. You know what I mean? Everything that we're seeing happening now is in that video from 1969. It's laid out like a blueprint. When you hear the video, it's gonna blow your mind.
Well, when you think about this, whoa. When you think about it, I mean, I mentioned this in other videos. However you want to label the people behind it, it's definitely been something that's been planned out, and it's definitely very patient people that have been very strategic and know what they're doing. Because, I mean, just the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 to grow as it did, to have what happened in the Great Depression, Then fast forward to the Bretton Woods Agreement, where the dollar became the world reserve currency. Then the 70s, early 70s, 71, I think specifically,
Yeah,
the
71.
Nixon shock took us off the gold standard. And then that was kind of like what really, really, like, that's where they were really working towards. Now we have the 2020 issues, everything going on, all the talk about the cashless society, which would give complete, no privacy for anybody, complete surveillance of money, which is something I would like, we'll talk about. But when you're mentioning people behind it, the Great Reset, will this involve anything like the UN, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund? Are they involved specifically? Because I didn't know there was a website. And what is the website?
The Great Reset.
Yeah, is it greatreset.com?
Yeah, Great Reset. Okay. So when you go, you can just Google the Great Reset, and it'll pull up their main website. It is organized and put together by the World Economic Forum. So in there,
I think that's a part of the UN.
Yeah. So their whole goal is to, they use all the worst parts of what's going on around the world. They try to amplify it and that includes the pandemic that we're going through. So you can see this was planned. It wasn't by accident. You know what I mean? Their whole goal was to crush the economies around the world, get people starving, unemployment levels really high, people desperately latching onto the government for help. And once the government has you, forcing you into this idea that they have. You could just see it in there. As you go through it and you read all their different proposals, you could see that is their plan. And it still is their plan. As a matter of fact, if you look at Joe Biden's, although he's saying he's not with the people on the far left, the extremist socialism, this is a lie. Joe Biden's very specific presidential motto for this particular presidential run is build back better.
This is very interesting. The World Economic Forum is funded by its membership, which includes industry leaders from companies with at least $5 billion in yearly turnover, as well as individuals from all walks of life, including celebrities, journalists, and interested individuals willing to pay annual dues and meeting fees to attend. So it's actually a private organization of some rich, wealthy people.
Yeah, very. And these same people meet up in Davos, Switzerland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're trying to tell us where the direction we should go into. So, anytime you get George Soros involved in anything, you know what I mean? Anybody that we consider deep state involved, Prince Charles is involved, the royal family. You have, what's his name? Schwab's in there. I mean, anytime. Yeah. So anytime you see these people involved in anything, and they include celebrities and all these people we see these days fighting against Trump.
These people of influence, they're pushing.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, that means they're all part of this same agenda. You have to make the dots connect is what it is. So we get to this point of burning down the entire nation and having to build it up. No, it's not just nation. Antifa and Black Lives Matter are burning down countries everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you still have the Yellow Vest movement still happening in France. Yeah. You still have protests still occurring in Hong Kong.
No, but you have literal BLM and Antifa riots happening in the UK, Australia. I mean, they're all over. Yeah. So you have to ask this. So tell me how an organization that was supposedly started here in the United States because individuals, unarmed black people were being killed by white cops, you know what I mean? Magically spread all around the world, especially in the UK when the cops don't carry firearms. So you have to question that kind of stuff. So they are the strong arm of this movement. It's not going to last, though. Trust me, there is going to be a civil war.
Okay, so is the global currency reset, since it's something different, is that something that would be a better version of something like kind of a patriot version, or is all this kind of all going back to the same group of people ultimately?
No, so what's happening is this. So again, it kind of if I had identified, I would say it's a neutral situation because we know it's unavoidable. With everything happening around the world and our economies, what we're finding out is some currencies are way undervalued, some currencies are way overvalued. And this is due a lot to the way the trade agreements were formed, So what happens is you see a lot of countries now. It's really weird. I've never seen so much movements on trade agreements. So don't get me wrong. We see a lot of movements, but not like we see now.
Right.
More and more countries are taking Trump's approach to free trade, whether it happens upon the signing of the agreement or once the agreements are approved, or it's eventually eased in. So I'm noticing all these agreements involve free trade, which is good. But because of that, the uneven exchange rates makes it really hard for some countries to afford to be involved in international trade the way they should. So to make it a more fair playground, Trump said it several times, we need a level playing field. But also the trade agreements had to be done first. We've seen a lot of them done. We need a level playing field. I can see now, we already know this. Lynette Zeng's talked about it. The BIS has even now said, you know what, we can't continue like this. We have to do a global currency reset. So we are already in the process. So the process, in my opinion, started during the trades. But as time goes on, you start to realize that, you can't have somebody like Iraq come out and, start all over from the rebuilding with such a low exchange rate. It's impossible. Inflation would kill them. Right. You have countries down like Venezuela who are with super inflations. You know what I mean? So in order for everybody to rebuild, get back on track, do what we need to do, you need some type of balance, a level playing field. So, you need a global currency reset. But you don't just need a currency reset because people just go right back into bad habits. We need to really restrict these corrupt governments from going willy-nilly with your money. And how you do that, of course, is go back into the gold standard. Is what we're seeing happening. It's going to happen. It's unescapable.
Well, I mean, it's possible it's going to happen. It depends on really, because it seems like, with everything, there's a duality in everything. It seems like there's kind of a good and bad, a positive and negative. I mean, we see that with kind of the different versions of the NESARA, GESARA things.
Yes.
So, I mean, I really think that it's if you look at this as Donald Trump and the Patriots versus the deep state cabal, that's how you want to label everything. And that's where we're at. And that's like the two big players. Mm-hmm. We don't know right now who's going to win that.
Well, that's a good point you bring up. So
I don't want to say here, I don't want people to bash me because I'm not dogging Trump, because I have a lot of respect for what Donald Trump is doing. My opinion of him has changed a lot, but I'm not necessarily gung-ho Trump. But it does look like he's doing some good things, but some of the things he's doing looks like it also could be leading us in a negative direction as well. So I'm not 100% convinced right now.
Well, there are some things. I understand that and I agree. And trust me, you say something negative about Trump and NESARA on my channel, they will ream you. So
Right. No, I'm not.
But here we go.
I'm not saying anything.
No, I know. Calm down, subscribers. He's just trying to make a point. But here, yeah. Scary people, but nonetheless, but look, I've noticed this. I even said in my videos, look, I see what Trump's doing. I see in my mind what I think he's trying to attempt to do. But the fact that Blackstone was brought in, the merging of the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, so to speak,
donations, by Trump and by the United States.
Yeah, so but Blackstone buying up all the corporate debt, all these things, I'm like, man.
You can look at that good or bad too, though, because
that's what I'm saying.
Are they stacking debt? Are they stacking debt on the Federal Reserve balance sheet so that they can just end it and just like kill everything on the balance sheet? Or are they just accumulating more power and consolidating?
Exactly. So I told people, look, man, Trump's my last hope for reals, man. Either he is the person we hope he is, and he does save us, because what he's doing right now, if he's not, we are really, really super screwed. But having said that, if Trump doesn't win, make no doubt about it, this is going to be a nightmare scenario, because once the Democrats grab control of this, they will use this to slam us, enslave us, and put us into this global reset.
Yeah, and what I'm really worried more about is the digital dollar implementation and all the talk about cashless, going cashless and getting rid of the physical bills. I'm not really hearing much of an argument being made on that. And that just gives, whoever has control of that monetary system complete control, like more control than we have now. Because now, at least, like if you owe taxes, and IRS wants to collect something, they have to garnish your wages, or they have to come after you. They have to take you to court. And in the new system, everything will be tied together where they can just take it out of your account as it's due, and you wouldn't.
And if you think about it, let me make a point. Now, if you think about it, how many times have they ever made an error and took people's money, and people struggle through the court system to fight to get it back?
Yeah, you know the government is immune to clerical errors.
Yeah, so you can only imagine if they could take it that easy. So anyways, in this global reset, they do talk about moving us into a cashless society. And of course, you know what they're using as an excuse. Oh, the Rona's on $1 bills. Nobody's falling for this crap. But I will say this.
The disease that they're going to say that, you know, money's dirty. People are passing germs and diseases to each other.
Well, here's the funny thing. I said, look at it. And I made a joke about this. I said, look, this is how you know it's bullshit. Because if that were the case, think about all the cocaine snorters, man. They'd be dropping dead left and right because nobody is snorting more diseases and fungus and bacteria and God knows what into their bodies more than coke snorters, because they use dollar bills. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, I made that as a joke, but at the same time, I was serious.
Well, yeah, I mean, the two most common items on a dollar bill, like, because, and I know this because of my former profession and looking up information, but the most common things on a dollar bill are cocaine and fecal matter.
Yeah.
Fecal matter thing kind of, you know, I'm like, why are we
people not washing their hands, man?
That's a lot of it, yeah. So
yeah, not washing your hands. You wipe your ass. You do what's called a skim and slip, and you don't realize it. You can't see the brown shit on your hands, but you walk out and you're rubbing your nose. You're like, man, that stinks. I should have washed my hands. But then you're grabbing dollar bills. Yeah, but still, again, cocaine snorters are putting this shit up their nose. You know what I mean? But it's just like the Rona. I said, man, your biggest indicator that the coronavirus is a fake, it's a lie. How come we don't see streets of thousands of homeless people dead?
Yeah, we've talked about that. The homeless population should be enough for people to question things. But now, since you're a fan of Lynette Zhang, and you know, I've interviewed her, and we're gonna connect you with her.
No love, no love, Chris. But, no love. Did you call me? And I know when I love her. She talked about NESARA. Did you see my video last night? I'm gonna reach out and schedule something specifically for you, and I'm gonna hold your hand through it. We're gonna do this together.
Yeah. But when she talks about the reset, she's not saying anything positive about it. I've heard her mention some things about the NESARA. I saw your new video about her mentioning it. She seems very, very pessimistic when it comes to anything government related. Even when it comes to blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, if it's not physical gold or silver, she's just not. And
I understand that 100%, and I get what she's saying. There's reasons not to trust our governments. There's reasons not to trust the bank. There's reasons not to trust the media. You know what I mean? Like so whenever they tell you, hey, this is going to be great for you, you should go, no, it's got to be a lie, and go the opposite direction.
Right.
But you know, I think a lot, why I love Lynette Zhang, two reasons. One, she has a way of explaining things to people that make it so simple that you go, oh my God, I get it. I love that. And I always joke around that if I had Pimpy's University, Lynette Zhang would be my professor on gold and silver, because I love the way she explains it.
Me too.
Yeah,
she's like a really cool, smart grandma.
No, dude. I can only imagine it would be like sitting at a dinner table with her, shooting the shit and having a glass of wine, and just watching her unload, man. Her knowledge and her opinion of the government would be funny to watch.
We should go to Phoenix together, because she's out there.
Oh, dude, I'm so down. Seriously.
She told me I could check out her swimming pool that she turned into a garden, because she's doing her farming and stuff, and tries to get the community involved.
Did she just invite you to her place?
She's only I can come out to ITM trading. I mean, I'm pretty. We've spoken enough. I've got her daughter's cell phone number.
I so hate you, man. I so hate you right now.
When I told you, I gave you the email address, and I made the introduction, and they said yes, we'll do it. And then you told me,
I don't know how to do this right here. So again, obviously, I need to go sit down at the School of Rice to get more savvy on what I'm doing my video.
If you want to sit down and do it together and just have a kind of a roundtable conversation,
we could do that. Let's do that. I would like that.
Yeah.
So now the second thing about I like about Lynette Zhang is me and her, our opinions line up a lot on a lot of things. So what she said about NESARA, was it good or bad? She's saying, look, It could go either way.
Right. Don't put all your hope into this. Prepare yourself for disappointment. That is my whole thing is prepare yourself for disappointment is my key to serenity because it can't get any worse.
Yeah, so when I tell people, I go, like, because when I'm talking about NESARA, GESARA, and the possibilities, and then I talk about gold, they go, well, wait a minute, Pimpy, you keep telling us to rush to gold and silver. But if NESARA, GESARA happens, we shouldn't worry about that. And then so I go, so here comes the boogeyman part of me. I always say, look, there's no official NESARA, GESARA act or bill. Right. But as I go down a list, I see what Trump is doing. He seems to be pretty much going down this list. Whether there's an official announcement of NESARA, GESARA or something similar to it, or maybe everything on the NESARA, GESARA list is done. It's just not called NESARA, GESARA. You have to be prepared for the what ifs. So even though we've taken all the right steps to get to where we need to be to make this great thing happen, if for some reason something goes astray, Trump doesn't get reelected, you could bet your damn ass there's no way in hell NESARA, GESARA is going to happen under a Biden Democrats ever.
Yeah, and that's right around the corner from us now.
Yeah, so I told people so just be prepared. That doesn't mean I don't have no faith. It's like people when I talk about, people ask me, what should I invest my money in? You know, I always say gold and silver, but then you got these people from the dinar community or the Vietnam Dong community going, whoa, Pimpy, why are you saying that? These people become bazillionaires if they invest in this currency. Why won't you tell? Here's my thing. I tell everybody, set a goal, be diversified. Although the Vietnam Dong and the Iraqi dinar is a low risk, high reward situation, the probability is different. You know, the possibility of it happening. So I'm watching it, I'm monitoring it. I think now more than ever, that's very possible. But I'm saying every time we get close, something pops up and it keeps it from happening. So you can tell that when you talk to people who's been in this for about 15, 16 years. So I understand their frustration. They've been in it way longer than I have. But because of that, I do see other investment opportunities just in case. Gold and silver, in my opinion at this moment, needs to be everybody's number one priority. It really does.
Yeah, and I agree about diversifying. But yeah, the one thing about gold and silver is it's definitely proven over time to be that store of value. That's why it's a safe haven asset. You know, you can take your money and put it in something like that, because if you would have had $20 up till 1930 and taken that to a bank and cashed it in for an ounce of gold, $20 for an ounce of gold, because that was the price, and you would have held on to that gold through your family, that obviously that gold is worth more. And when you're seeing a rise in gold and silver, then what you're seeing is a lack of faith in the fiat system. And you're seeing
a crash.
Right. The people are reverting their money over. And then something that you said that you weren't super familiar with, because again, we're limited on time and what we can research. The Federal Reserve is something that I definitely try to do a lot of research on. And I definitely encourage people to read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island from G. Edward Griffin. And I had a chance to interview him about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago on my channel. So I encourage people to check that one out. But
wait, real quick, if you don't mind me asking, I'm going to pick at your brain a little bit. Did he have an opinion about the current state and where we are?
G. Edward?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually talked. I got his opinion on NESARA. I got his opinion on Q. And we talked a little bit about Trump.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, because he kind of gives more of a realistic approach. With the QAnon situation, he compares it to a thing that happened in the 90s called, some people call it the dove of oneness. Some people call it the white dove. It's very similar things, very much parallels kind of the QAnon stuff.
Well, in the 70s, it was called the pyramid.
Well, this is some interesting stuff. And then apparently with NESARA, because there's been some people who talked about it being the idea of NESARA being created in the 50s by U.S. farmers. I can't find information on that, but I can find information about it being introduced in the early 90s. And I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy, and we mentioned his name in the interview with G. Edward. It's just such a boring, weird name. I just can't ever remember it. But G. Edward actually had debated this guy. So, and apparently it never was introduced into Congress or made it anywhere in the House. Nowhere in the government was it introduced. It was just an idea, proposal from.
But here's the thing, and I tell people that because I don't want to mislead people who subscribe to my channel when they follow that particular subject. I say to people, look, make it perfectly clear. There's no bill, there's no act. But
No,
now
there's
we are.
none.
But I felt like we have where we are now, right now, is that it's being talked about so much that now we've created a movement. And once this movement's been created, if it gets big enough,
We can make stuff happen.
yeah, we can make it happen, regardless if it was supposed to be or not. Like people go, well, Pimpy, that thing was a hoax. I go, it doesn't make a difference now. It's now a movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No,
even if
I
QAnon,
agree.
like the QAnon or NESARA, GESARA, both of them, let's say both were hoaxes. The thing is, where we are now, it doesn't matter. They're now two large movements.
They're like an accelerant for fire.
Yeah.
You know, once the fire starts burning, it's burning and you can't put it out. And that goes back before we go into the Fed. The JFK video, the main message in that was really just trying to tell people that don't put your hope into other individuals or entities to save you or to make the world better, because we can do that all individually. Me and you talked about this, Pimpy. I mean, everything comes from within. And in all religions, this is taught. Jesus teaches this. The temple of God is within. And so everything starts with you. When you start taking personal responsibility and accountability and start being the change that you want to see in this world, then you start getting together with like-minded people. And the more people manifest peace, manifest unity, manifest greatness, manifest prosperity. You know what I mean? These people keep telling you, you can't do it. The Democrats are pushing it. You need us. No, the hell we don't. No.
Can anybody in our comment section, please tell me one successful thing the government has ever ran?
When enough people take a stand, Pimpy, nothing can stand against the people. And we're at that point right now where people want to talk about the vaccines. People want to talk about 5G. People want to talk about all these different things. If we all right now all found a common bond to stand together with, because united we stand, divided we fall. And we're very divided because of the media. I
was just going to say, you made a good point. Right now, the media and the powers that be have mastered the way to keep people divided instead of united. Now, having said that, I will say this. We're not as divided as the media would like us to think.
Right.
Trump's approval rating with black people now is at 42%. He won with 6% of the votes. This is huge. Mexicans are now up to 54%. So this plan that they had, I bet you they thought they were slapping high fives, you know what I mean, hip bumping each other going, dude, if we keep saying Trump's a racist and we show these things on the news, he's never going to get the minority vote. It's actually had the opposite effect. Watching entire communities burn to the ground, several black-owned businesses
people are seeing
gone.
People are seeing their mainstream news lie to them and report falsely and biasedly, you know, and people are starting to wake up. When people have nothing but time on their hands because of social distancing and self-quarantining. I'm not going to say everybody, because a small percentage of people aren't going to wake up. They're happy with their
don't want to wake up.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. You know, I choose not to know. And there are those people, and that's fine. But the people,
but it's funny you say that, because I told you everything that these guys planned somehow backfire. The fact that they put us on quarantine was a huge backfire, because that did allow people to go, I'm tired of TV, what's going on YouTube, and the next thing you know, people are starting to wake up, they get educated. So again, every time they think they got something down pat, we got this great plan. If you think about it in the long run, all of it has backfired on them. The quarantine backfire. Black Lives Matter with Antifa.
There's too many people like us. I mean, they are censoring people, and that's a big issue. Obviously, we talked about that. They're removing channels. They're completely demonetizing channels. So, but there's so many of us that it's like, what are you going to do? Just take the whole platform down? In the case
the funny thing is, if everybody moved at the same time and abandoned YouTube, they would crash. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's something else too. That I did want to talk with you. I mentioned the thing about library. I'd like for you to start migrating your stuff to library, and I'm going to help you with that, because at least it gives you a way to back up your stuff. So if YouTube decides right now that they're going to just delete your channel, at least you have all your stuff 100% backed up. And it's automatic.
this person told me that, you know, with BitChute and Library, that when you upload a video to YouTube, it automatically transfers to those two platforms.
I don't know about BitChute doing that. If it does, it's a function that I'm not aware of. I think you had to manually upload. But with Library, yeah, it has a program and I've tried telling you about it before. I know I've sent you information about Library. I've sent you information about Zoom.
Okay, you guys, just in all fairness,
a ton of information.
Right, yes. But what happens is I start to look at it for a second, and then I look up and I go, wait, what's going on in the market? Or wait, what's going on? And so it's like scroll. You know what I mean? I get distracted real easy. But I just watched a video last night. This guy was talking about there are several platforms that you can join that as soon as you upload a video on YouTube, it automatically transfers it for you. And on one of the
on BitTube, bittube.tv. So there's lots of different platforms. I've got pretty much my main backup channel is Library, LBRY, and I really like that. But I'm also on a site called 3Speak that uses the Hive blockchain. I'm on BitTubers, bittube.tv. I have a BitChute account, but it's if I was to do it this way, I would be spending all day just uploading a video to different platforms, and then you know how it is about responding to people's comments. It just becomes
trust me, I do that.
It ends up becoming a 2-day ordeal just uploading a video, and it's I can't do that. And you know, so to get back to the Federal Reserve thing, I wanted to like tell you the important thing about their announcement that they had at the end of August. Let me see if I can get an idea of the date here. It was around the 27th, I believe, and Jerome Powell had come out. It was like just trying to see what the where the meeting was. It's like Jackson Hole, Mississippi, or something like that is where they did it. But basically, what's going on is a monetary policy change, and this is the second time they've ever really done this. And what it is the Federal Reserve has a way that they have a control on inflation per the way that they do the monetary policy, and they try to keep the inflation to be less than 2% yearly. But what they're saying right now is, with everything that's going on with the monetary policy changes, they're actually going to let that exceed 2%. So they're going to let it kind of get rampant. And so that could do a multiple amount of things. And one of the things
invest in the gold and silver.
Yeah, because I mean that's what the whole money printer go burr is. When you have X amount of bills and X amount of digits out on the system, and that's how you're evaluating how much X amount or X dollar is worth. And then when you print more dollar bills or put more dollars in the system, then what that does to the bills that are currently in existence is it makes them be worth less. It might be a percentage. It might be 1%, it might be 2%, but that adds up. If you think of 2% a year, in 5 years, that's 10%. That means if you're saving money, you lose 10% of your money for 5 years automatically.
And so if you think about that, and you think about where we are with gold and silver usually runs parallel with this money supply. But what we see all the time is that it ends up there gaps, and then we end up having to revalue gold and silver to catch up. And then it gaps. And so what's happening right now, we're seeing the largest gap we've ever seen in gold and silver versus the money supply. We are looking at the world's largest transformation of wealth. And that's why I hope you're telling people the same thing. It's my understanding that you're working with MME right now.
Yeah, I am going to be working with Money Metals Exchange. I haven't done a video talking about that, but yeah, I am going to be. People can use the coupon code.
Welcome aboard, my brother. But you know what I mean? It's important that, again, I can't stress this enough. People go, wow, you know, you and Money Metals Exchange, you guys do things together. Of course we do, but even so, they know. Everybody knows in my videos long before that, months before that, I was telling everybody about gold and silver. It's just that they wanted to partner up, and it worked out to be a good deal.
I say it all the time, and that's what I was telling Steven, the CEO. I told him that Stefan, excuse me. I told him that I wanted to be able to have a place that I can recommend people to go to. I do love Lynette Zhang, but I've heard a lot more better things about the customer service and the things that Money Metals is offering but I do love
well, they're very competitive price-wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good reputation, been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I can just tell you this.
But now
I've
listen,
had over 3,000 of my subscribers have been buying from Money Metals. And so,
I've heard good things about what you've done.
yeah, and so here's the thing. I've not heard anything negative. And the one thing that was negative was more to do with the post office made a boo-boo, not Money Metals. And we got that ironed out. Because here's the thing. If there's something bad happening, tell me about it. Because I'll talk to Stefan and he'll tell me what's going on. Out of all these orders, the worst thing that happened is somebody said, well, the only thing I don't like is that there's a delay in shipping. And that's back in July when the precious metals were really low on inventory. When everybody else was out and you had back orders, they still have precious metals. They just limited the amount you can have. And so there was a slight delay because of the overwhelming amount of people ordered from it. It just became this barrage thanks to some dude named freaking Pimpy, you know, made their orders go crazy.
Well, I mean, we were seeing a shortage take place, a physical shortage.
At the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can understand if they're going to have slight delays and stuff. But the one thing that people should take note of, and the reason why I tell people that, you know, you should diversify and invest in things like gold and silver and cryptocurrencies and other things that you can diversify in, is because if you're looking at what's going on right now on an economic level and you see what the government is doing to help the everyday person versus the already rich established companies that they keep bailing out time and time again. You know, we're seeing huge bailouts going on. Most of the bailout information is remaining private. They're not disclosing that information at this time. They're politicizing and weaponizing everything that's going on as far as getting more stimulus money to people because of the elections. But at the same time, you're seeing the Federal Reserve saying that they're going to use everything that they have at their disposal to keep the system propped up. And what we're seeing right now is the stock market, NASDAQ, the S&P 500, everything is like hitting all-time highs.
Artificially.
While we're continuing to get more number of unemployment. So we've got record numbers.
Oh, wait a minute now. We've seen it. It's dropped. Unemployment dropped down to just above 8%.
I've heard that just like last week or a week before, there was an additional million people that just reapplied.
That might be fine. That might be true. But if you look at unemployment levels, people thought it was going to be around 10. It dropped down to just above 8.
That's still pretty high, though, is it not?
No, it is. It is.
And but if that's happening, should you see all-time highs in the stock market if you have?
No, that's how you know it's fake. It's fake.
People?
We know that it's artificially pumped. We know
that's the point that I'm trying to make to people is that, that the Federal Reserve is doing everything they can to keep everybody who's rich and richer, and doing it. That is what's happening. And they're allowed. I mean, that's why we're telling people to buy things like gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
So you're not being left out. It's crazy.
No, but you know, I showed this video of a man. I was trying to let him explain because he did a great job of talking about the money supply and the gold and silver gapping and coming together, gapping over time. But even he said the same thing I said, and that's why I loved using him. He said, you don't understand where it's at our feet right now. Because, and this is before we are where we are, this is 2014. He's saying right now we are looking at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in which we can see 1 out of every 1,000 people will be in position to enjoy the largest wealth transformation we have ever seen in our lifetimes. And only those who are aware of what's going on with gold and silver will be able to take advantage of that.
Do you remember the prices of gold and silver per ounce in January of this year?
I think actually was in the 1200s.
I was thinking 1200s, and then I was thinking about $14 for silver.
No, that's a good question. I think it was like, I might be wrong, but I think it was in the 1200s or
1200 for gold and about 14 for silver, $14 for silver per ounce.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm just saying off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that ballpark figure, and now we're seeing what, like right now, $27 silver per ounce, and we're seeing almost $2,000 an ounce per.
Yeah, and I showed you the video that is artificially being kept there as everybody is rushing to stress the comics, which is another big deal. On the video last night that I was talking about is, you know, their suppliers have more than doubled. They went from 40-something suppliers they buy gold and silver from to help store up the comics, but the fact that they are now more than doubled that, it's crazy.
Well,
so yeah, so January it was around $1,500. So
okay.
$1,500 still went at $400. Now silver is, I always joke around and say silver is volatile. It's like a kid that has ADHD, and you hype him up with sugar, because it'll go way up, it'll go way down. So, and where were we? So we're on $18 back then. So you see, again, this is what I tell people. It's called the poor man's gold. If you can't afford gold, stick to silver. You should anyways, because silver always outperforms gold. Now, having said that, we know it jumps up faster than gold does, but it also drops down faster than gold. So when I see silver get to a ratio of 30-1, then I'll swap ounces of silver for ounces of gold when it gets to there. But anything above that ratio, and right now we're at 71 ounces for every one of gold. So hell yeah, buy silver. The more the better.
Right. No, that makes sense. There was something I was going to say. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might just come back to me when it came to the gold and silver thing and prices. But I mean, when you're seeing that much of an increase in prices from the beginning of the year to now, it's because of the poor performance of the dollar. That's really what it all comes down to. It's
don't watch the market performance, watch the dollar performance.
Exactly.
and again, we're looking at China's right now threatening to dump our debt bonds and crash the dollar. We have our meeting with the IMF coming up in October. They're talking about removing us as a official Federal Reserve dollar. So what this does is
official world reserve status, you mean?
Yeah, man, that would drop our currency's value. You know.
See, I had heard that I had even heard things to this. People were speculating that Donald Trump was going to do that himself.
Yeah, well, that's the real rumor, is that he's going to do it. And if that's the case, you have to understand that anything that Trump does that you think, oh my God, might affect one group of people, make sure you understand that this guy would not do something without having already a backup plan that will make sure that these people are covered. So if we are removed as the official reserve dollar,
then we could have a treasury. We could have a treasury note come out that's backed by gold or silver and
then that would make us the most valuable currency in the world once again. Right. You know what I mean?
But we wouldn't need to having the world reserve status. We wouldn't need that. You know, that was part of that. That was part of the giant Ponzi scheme that was built up. That was very meticulously planned and by the very patient people. So the quantum financial system, we talked a little bit about this privately. We're, I think, both in agreement that this is just a fancy way of saying blockchain.
No, it is. And I told you, I went in and now here's the funny thing real quick. I'll try to summarize it real quick. Now, quantum technology, I heard about in the 90s, believe it or not. And so I heard a guy talking about it, but what I got stuck on was his idea of what's called encryption security. And so I remember quantum and him talking about all these great things.
But that comes from quantum computing, right?
Yeah. So, and this is in the 90s, mind you. So as time went on, in the early 2000s, as a person that comes from the healthcare industry, that was talked about a lot. And so they talked about this system that would be developed that you could do what's called real-time data analysis. It would be so quick. The computing would be so quick. It would change the way our healthcare industry is as far as laboratory science, anything like that. And the doctors would feed into it real time. You'd have a computer. You go to see the doctor says who you are, and then puts in the information while you're there. And then, you know what I mean? So I'm going to give you an example because this is important for people to understand. And because you brought this up, and I think this is a great thing for people to understand how great this is. Let's say you go into the doctor's, you're a single mother with 3 kids, and I know it's going to be crazy, but you're going to see what I'm talking about. You get into the doctor's, and the doctor's like, okay, well, we find out you have cancer. You have breast cancer, whatever cancer. And so what happens is this data system goes, okay, how old is she? Well, she's 34 years old. Okay, good. Smoker, non-smoker, drinker, non-drinker. Does she exercise regularly? You put in all these things, right? And the reason for that is this. What the computer does, it keeps track of everybody who's ever had cancer, this type of cancer, right? And so what it shows you is the different probabilities. So if you go in there and you go, well, she's a single mother of 3. Well, how old are the kids? Well, you know, they're 7, 5, and 3. Yikes. That means we can't give her certain types of medicines because when we do, more aggressive ones, would wipe her out. She'd be tired. She couldn't take care of her family. So we have to think of an alternative type of medicine that won't drain her of her energy. Well, our kids are 17, 21, 23. Well, they're older enough. Good. We can give her more aggressive. You see what I'm saying? This computer system would have ability to match the best treatment plan for your sickness based on all the data they get around the world. And so out of success rates, percentage-wise, they'll go, well, out of all of our data, we see that the highest percentage rates for success for this treatment is based on the data you gave us is this. And it's done instantaneously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then that, and in science and that, fighting with disease, plus you add in AI. So yeah, quantum technology has been out there a long time. Now but that was always geared towards healthcare. When they tried to gear it towards quantum finance, there was a problem for some reason. Something about the systems we were using, something about its, but this was a long time ago, and I'm sure they probably had it fixed by now. But there was something wrong where it couldn't do what we needed it to do based on the exchange swapping, where we were, what country in, real time, all this. There was a problem. And so it never successfully, as far as I know, has been launched yet. Now, when we heard the rumor that quantum financial system was being launched this year, I was like, no, I never heard anything about it. Of course, I did my own research. And then I showed everybody, I debunked the shit out of it because, you know, in this PowerPoint
Yeah,
presentation.
because I'm not seeing anything on it.
Well, that plus the PowerPoint presentation that was put in what's called a QFS movie, I showed people that the wording had been altered. So they took out certain words, put in their own words. And as soon as you see that, to me, that's a discrediting of the whole entire video. Yeah. And I said that in my videos, you know, don't do that. But here's the funny thing. Life has this way of bringing you full circle. About 8 or 9 years ago, I met a man. He told me he created and developed a quantum banking system. And then he told me about what it was going to do.
Are we talking about Russell?
Yeah.
Russell
and I'm going to make a response to that. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, lo and behold, sure enough.
I think I'm interviewing him this week.
So we'll wait on my response.
But yeah, no, he did create something. He claims to create something that was quantum banking. He says that he invented crypto-currencies because that's how he would say it. Now, I know for a fact that he did not invent cryptocurrencies because I know of cryptographers back in the early 80s when Russell either was still an idea or a sperm or maybe in the womb. So I know that you can't invent crypto-currencies while you're inside of the womb.
Hey, man, he could have been doing it while he was in a nutsack. You don't know what he was up to.
I mean, he is the seventh angel, but
yeah.
But
yeah.
We'll move on.
We need our superheroes, my brother.
But dude,
we got Christ coming. We got the seventh angel.
Yeah, we got some news that we'll be sharing soon about that. But
we have developed a new comic book we want to share with you guys. So that's in the works.
But it does seem like that if the QFS was legit, it would have been jacked from the ideas of Russell possibly. And that's interesting. But a lot of people, when they talk about this though, and I'm not going to mention any people's names, but people have talked about XRP being used as a remittance service because Ripple, the centralized company that's behind the decentralized cryptocurrency XRP, wanted to create something that would replace the SWIFT system. So people were, assuming all this. And then people, the one thing I want to put in perspective for people too, is when it comes to the idea of a gold-backed XRP token. If we were talking, I wanted to look at, see what the circulating supply is right now.
Can you keep talking for a couple of minutes? I got to let my dog out because it's like circling me right here and it keeps biting on my legs. It's going to take literally like 1 minute.
Yeah, what I can
keep talking.
What I can do is I'm just going to pause the video and we'll just come back whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it. It'll take like 1 minute.
We'll be right back. And we are resuming. That's the thing I love about technology, Pimpy, is that we can pause something when dogs need to go out.
Yeah, when they're scratching my legs, they got to go.
As I was saying, the thing about when people talk about the idea of XRP being backed by gold, if I'm looking at charts information on XRP, I think the total supply is like 100 billion tokens, if I'm not mistaken, and of that, 45 billion are out. So there's 55 billion that's currently locked up. I'm not sure if it's the Ripple organization that's holding those, but somebody's holding 55% of the supply of coins because the entirety of the coins were minted at the creation of XRP, whereas like Bitcoin and Ethereum have a process of mining right now that create new Ethereum and new Bitcoin. So XRP was completely pre-mined. All the coins were existed. 55% is locked up. 45 billion coins are out. Imagine backing just 45 billion coins by fractions of gold. I mean, how much gold is that going to really equate to? And then if you think about the entirety of 100 billion coins being backed by gold, how much gold is that really going to take? So it's like, that's something that people need to take in consideration with something like that.
No, I get the idea behind it, but I think what it is, the trust factor. In other words, you'd have to trust, once again, the government, your banking people, that they're telling you the truth. For me, it's always, well, you could say it's transparent, you could say it's decentralized, but what's going on the back end? After we did this Millie did her thing about the Shadowgate.
Yeah.
Then I was like, yeah, you can see, look, we just don't trust anything that the government does.
No, you can't. And when you have a decentralized blockchain, you don't have to trust because it's trustless. You can verify everything. And that's the power of decentralization.
Yeah, but what's to keep them from having to look before any technology is brought out to the public? It's already been ran through the gutters billions of times by intelligence.
No, I agree.
That's why we tell people, look, for every 1 year we advance in technology, the military advances 44 years. So blockchain technology has probably been around much, much longer. Okay.
Well, the idea.
So having said that, yeah, the idea. So having said that, there's no doubt that before the government agrees on anything, they've already found one or more ways to be conniving, do corrupt shit on the back end. I just don't trust those individuals.
That's something we
in power.
There's a lot of companies that have investors that are all from the traditional financial world. And I can go into that in another episode.
Well, XRP has JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and now you got Soros backing them. So anytime those three people get together, there's nothing about.
Well, so everybody was thinking that XRP is going to be used as a remittal service, and the Federal Reserve and a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space knew about this. The Federal Reserve talked about an interbank settlement service called FedNow that they're going to be implementing that they thought would be live somewhere between 2023 and 2024. And this is literally an interbank settlement system, instant payments, 24/7, 365. And that would be an idea of replacing the SWIFT system. So if we're looking at something going on, it says the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System has approved the FedNow service as described in this announcement. The FedNow service is a new interbank 24/7, 365 real-time gross settlement service with clearing functionality to support instant payments in the United States. So whereas SWIFT is global, this is going to be specifically United States. But if you look here, it says this article came out August 11th, which is about a month ago. But the implementation date is September 10th, 2020. So they've actually ramped things up where they were talking about 2023 and 2024. Now they ramped things up to September 10th. The other thing that I want to touch base on,
do you think that goes hand in hand with what the Federal Reserve just announced? Do you think they sit together?
As far as the monetary policy change?
Yeah, the new regime change.
No, the policy change is literally just to try to combat what they're saying is the problems from what happened with the Rona. Because, I mean, as I talked about in other previous episodes, since 2008, we were definitely looking at the system crashing because we were just put on life support. That's what Lynette talks about. Zombie.
Yeah.
And essentially that's what happened. In 2019, last year, we saw the inverted yield curve. When that takes place 100% of the time, every time it's taken place, which I think was like 9 or 11 times in the past, it's 100% signal to recession within a year. So we knew that was coming. And last year, we've seen the repo market stuff take place. And so we knew that the system was on its last leg. And then you had this pandemic come out so conveniently.
Yeah.
That
convenient.
That
Black Lives Matter, Antifa, turn up communities, yeah.
It covered up so many different things, but the one thing that they were using it for, in addition, was a scapegoat for the economy. They're trying to blame everything that's going on economically
on the
in
Rona.
2020 on coronavirus when we were already in a decline. So the Federal Reserve was already planning on doing this. Whether the pandemic was planned or it's a pandemic, I can't say they go hand in hand, but
They go hand in hand. I'll say it. It's
I
a
think it's
pandemic.
interesting as hell.
When you guys go to the Great Reset, you'll see what I'm talking about. This was planned.
Well, it's interesting they pushed something up from 3 to 4 years to next Thursday. And
well, you have to be impressed with the fact that they have it actually ready to do that. If so,
yeah. Well, I mean, they've got unlimited money at their disposal to hire the smartest people. So I don't see why it would even be an issue when you think about it like that. Now,
no, what you got to ask yourself is, what are they promising these people? If these people are doing this, they must already know that the U.S. dollar is crap. So, what are they promising them? You know what I mean? Do this and we'll give you what? Gold, right. Silver, cryptocurrencies. What are we doing? Because think about what they're talking about. The dollar is going to be devalued. It's going to crash. It has no value. It's being artificially pumped right now. People are starting to wake up to this crap. You know how I know? Because of the massive flood of individuals rushing to gold and silver.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a signal of it. Another thing I wanted to quickly touch on, we don't have to really speak on it, but I wanted people to have this information, and I'll send you links for it so you can include it in the video description, Pimpy. But this is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, where the post office actually put in back in February 7th of 2020, the proposal of using blockchain technology for a voting system. A voting system can use the security of blockchain and the mail to provide a reliable voting system. So that's something that's really interesting for people that are paying attention to what's going on with Trump and the U.S. Post Office and all the controversy when it comes to mail-in ballots and things like that.
Well, I'll give you kudos for that, because the last time we talked, you brought that up, and I was like, I don't trust any kind of this mail-in ballot.
Not the mail-in ballot, but if we do,
But you told me about that last time, and so I told people, look, Rice is telling me this. He trusts this system. One vote, one person, period.
If it's
and I'm
done
thinking
right.
to myself, yeah,
if it's done right, and we can cryptographically identify a token. Let's say right now, everybody has a social security number. We have certain things that identify us as an individual that are unique to us, that aren't duplicatable.
Driver's license number, social security number, something. It's linked to something.
And this right here image just shows the diagram of how it would work. So for people that are interested and want to research this a little bit more, if we're dealing with a decentralized open blockchain, then you realize that it's going to be open information. You can verify it. You don't have to trust it. And you'll notice here, it says oracles. This is something that I'm not saying Chainlink would be, because there's other things that are trying to compete with Chainlink. But there are oracles involved. So oracles are really important when it comes to the future of interoperability between different blockchains. And so this
how many I got to bug you real quick, because how many of these oracle cryptos are out there?
That's something I'm looking into, but I know there's several, at least 3 or 4 different projects.
Really? Okay.
But Chainlink, what they have going for them right now, I mean, obviously they have a kind of a good team, but there's a lot of question with some of the stuff going on with the marketing and some of the technology, because they had mentioned, and I learned this from To the Lifeboats YouTube channel. I did an episode about XRP after I did the talk with you, because I was mistaken in saying that there wasn't a max supply of XRP, because there is a max supply of XRP, but Ripple itself is a centralized company. So if they wanted to go in and change the code to allow for more coins to be minted, what is stopping them is kind of my point.
That's my point. Remember, I made the argument last time why I was really concerned about us going to 100% cashless society. You know what I mean?
Now, XRP,
in my opinion,
the cryptocurrency.
I was going to say, in my opinion, the perfect crypto to be developed is, and how you could prove that is backed by gold and silver, is this: a crypto that matches dollar for dollar what we have printed, that's backed by gold and silver, right? So if we have, for every dollar created is a crypto that goes with it so that we can exchange it wherever we are. To me, that would make sense because we could truly monitor that, in my opinion. Maybe I might be missing something, but it makes sense to me that that's what I would do. So if you have, I'm just using round numbers to make my point, but if you have 1 million of these particular cryptos and we have $1 million US that are backed by gold and silver, and then we say, okay, good, they go hand in hand. For exchange purposes, you can't just have 100% cashless society. You definitely want to be able to exchange for something physical because I just don't trust our government.
Right, but you got to make sure that you can actually redeem it. And like, so to circle back around before we end things, you mentioned the COMEX. So if people don't understand how the trading of gold and silver and the price structure works when you see it on the market, it is all based off of trading paper contracts. It has nothing to do with the actual physical silver or gold. But now those paper contracts can be redeemed and those people can cash in and get the physical items. And now that's kind of what's slightly going on now is people are
what did they do?
People are starting to cash in their contracts, and ultimately me and Pimpy know this is like fractional reserve banking. They don't have enough of the precious metals for all of their customers. So somebody's going to get screwed.
No, but what's the great thing about this and what I love about this is, one, it exposes the corruption.
Yeah.
Two, we already know they don't have the physical gold nor silver to cover these contracts. They sold way more contracts than they have. Three, those of us holding on to gold and silver,
well, we
reap the benefits.
That's what worries me about the idea of a gold-backed cryptocurrency, though. How are you going to verify 100% that it's backed 100%? Because with the stablecoin situation that I've told you, like Tether, USDT, that is one of the most well-known, but a lot of people are pretty convinced that they don't have 100% one-for-one backing. It might be like 75%, maybe 70%. USDC, which is being ran by Circle Invest and Coinbase. Circle Invest is backed by Goldman Sachs. They are completely audited, and it's 100% one-for-one ratio. So
but see, right there is what we want. We need to have transparency.
Auditability. So, you need third parties, people who aren't
anything away from the government. Right. I want random people that we choose to go in there and do the audit. I don't want some bureaucrat that sits back and has dinners at award shows with people in our government,
because they need to know that like people need to be accountable for these things. And these are
damn it, do it, Rice. Go ahead, lay the seats. Tell everybody what we need. Go ahead.
Well, this is the way we need to make it accountable, though. In all honesty,
I agree.
Like all of us standing up and saying what we need to do, like how people need to make things be, like not accept things for what they're given to us as.
This status quo, we don't need that no more.
I mean, it's
status quo has not done shit for us.
If we see what's going on right now, there are so many things that people are focusing on that they want to see changed, and all of us are being divided by all the other things that we talked about. But we're also being divided by choosing which battles and fights that we're involved in.
Yeah.
And you've got
I agree with that.
People that are like parallel doing something similar, but not working together. And all the people who are having a problem, like with the things that I mentioned, everything that we're talking about when it comes to a currency reset, voting on the blockchain, when it comes to anything that we mentioned in this video, all it comes down to is the power of the people making that change. I love your puppy dog.
So this is McLovin.
McLovin, for real?
Yeah. He's a pain in my ass. So what happens is, this is the funny thing. We're getting sidetracked, but it's funny. So if I'm talking on the phone and he wants attention, he gets jealous, he slams his face against my mouth and goes, no. He won't let me talk, and after he pushes him away, he's like really jealous, and he's very possessive, and he always wants attention. But they are very potty trained. What he does, he comes up and he scratches the crap out of the side of my leg, and I'm like, that's why I said I could tell this is unavoidable. He needs to go, because he will tell me. If I don't let him, he'll start tearing shit up in the house. And I mean, literally, he starts grabbing his teeth and running around going, "Arr." So this little vicious critter said, "Hi, McLovin." Anyways,
it's a good time for us to wrap things up. I mean, we've been going for over an hour now. I'm not exactly sure how long it's been, but it's been a pretty good conversation. And I know we got some more things we're planning on doing.
What do you think of XRP? He said no. Deep state.
No XRP.
No XRP.
I used to have a Twitter account for one of my cats, man. It was pretty funny. It was right after.
No, dude, it's so crazy. Is there people out there that have Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts for the pets, and they are way better than their own personal accounts, which is funny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You get to live vicariously through the character of your animal. So
yeah.
you know, like I had a lot of enjoyment tweeting for my cat, like talking for my cat, but it was really just me. It was really me.
Yeah.
I'm just
but you like that. What happens is you remove yourself out of reality, put yourself in a cat, and it's just fun. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, dude, I really enjoyed it. Is there anything that you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, you guys, if you're thinking about, of course, as always, going into the precious metals, think about what Rice and I are talking about. Go visit our friends. And then, make sure you let them know that I sent you or Rice sent you, either one. So if you go to the website, let them know Rice sent you, let them know Pimpy sent you, either one. Just so you guys understand.
It's the coupon code section, right? That they would enter either Pimpy or Rice, and they'll get a free ½ ounce of silver.
Yeah, for me and my subscribers, if you go and you get more than $100 worth of precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, or for Rice's people, use promo code Rice, and you guys will get a free ½ ounce of silver. Now, right now, some people might be going, "What? It's just a ½ ounce." No, where we think silver's going, you're gonna laugh about it when it gets in and go, "Oh my God, I got this for free! Look how much money it's worth." And we're gonna go, "See, we told you."
Right. No, I agree, dude. I agree, and I definitely want to continue doing videos about the cryptocurrency thing. So for anybody who has questions, check out the video that's on Pimpy's channel that I guested on, where we kind of went over some basics. Drop questions in that, or drop questions in this video. We'll revisit that. I know we'll continue conversations like this. I also remind everybody that Wednesday, I'm not sure the exact date of Wednesday, but this coming Wednesday, it'll be me, Pimpy, Stan Barabbas from Bodhisattva Love, along with Charlie Freak. I'm going to try to get that
good.
live.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that live, so I'll talk with you more about that.
Make sure you record it at the same time.
Well, yeah, depending on which way I'd go live with. And I'll talk with you.
Well, we'll talk about that out there. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, if we go live, the cool thing, and I told you, like, if because with Stan, he's added me as an editor on his channel. I can go live on Stan's channel and mine at the same time, since he's gave me that permission. So if you did the same thing, we could be going live on 3 different channels simultaneously. But we'll figure.
Yeah, you just have to tell me how to do that. We'll talk about that off here.
But again, I want to remind everybody, if you're watching this on each other's channel, make sure you're checking the other one out. We'll have links down below. Be supportive of what we're doing.
Please.
For people who are following my stuff, I definitely encourage you to check out Pimpy's channel. He talks about a lot of things that I don't talk about, and I talk about a lot of things that Pimpy doesn't talk about.
Yeah, I was going to say the other way around as well.
And then we find that common bond too. And that's where we meet in the middle.
Absolutely.
So as always, this conversation will be continued. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Catch you later.